Good afternoon. Halton Regional Police have provided details on the largest human trafficking investigation in the service's history.
Several people have been arrested and dozens of charges have been laid as part of Project Troubadour. CTV's John Musselman's been following this story and joins us with more details. John.
Well, Nathan, investigators are telling us this was a 10-month-long investigation, and as you mentioned, it did lead to the arrests of 9 people, more than 85 charges. Now, at the news conference today, we did see some photos of the accused in this case. They also showed us some of the property that was seized in this investigation, including some cars and jewelry. Now, the police are also saying that this was brought to their attention when one of the victims came forward to police. This broke open the case. They're saying there could be as many as 12 victims, but there may be more that they don't know about, and that's one of the reasons they are holding this news conference today, to talk about the situation. Now, the victims here were either assaulted or being used as sex workers, and in many cases they had very little control of their lives. So we did hear from the detectives today about this case. Here's what Scott Hireman had to tell us just a short time ago.
Human trafficking knows no borders. Halton is a safe community. However, it's important to understand that commercial sexual exploitation happens across the country in a majority of our communities. It's important to talk to your kids and your loved ones and make sure that they understand the risks that are out there.
And the detective went on to tell us that deception is a key way they do this. They also use websites to attract people into this world, and they become victimized, and it's quite troubling. Police say, again, there may be more victims out there, and they want to hear from anyone who has any connection with these accused. You're asked to contact Halton Regional Police. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. Police are asking for your help identifying a suspect in a deadly shooting from almost 4 years ago. 31-year-old Ding Ping Wang was shot and killed in November of 2022 while sitting in a vehicle in a plaza near Midland and Passmore. He died at the scene. No suspect information was available at the time, but investigators say that they now have some clues to share. Police released security video that they say shows the person they believe is responsible for the killing. Investigators say it was taken the day before the murder. It shows the suspect walking along the same route police believe the shooter used on the day he was killed. And police have released an artist's rendering of the suspect wanted in the case. The image reconstruction was done with the assistance of an eyewitness. Investigators spoke about the case this morning.
When we seize video surveillance, we seize an immense amount of video surveillance, and we review it as much as possible based on the information that we have at the time. You know, some of these doors that are closed during our video canvas, people actually call us up years later, and in this case, that's exactly what happened. Somebody came forward and alerted us to the fact that there was a suspicious male on the property the day before.
Police are encouraging the suspect to contact a lawyer and turn himself in. An investigation is underway after shots were fired at the headquarters of an armored vehicle manufacturer in North York.
The shots were fired just before 2 a.m. and so far no injuries have been reported. CTV's Beth McNadell has been following the investigation and joins us live now with more. Beth.
Yes, several shots were fired at the building you see behind me. It's on Weston Road near Finch Avenue West. It belongs to a company called INKAS that makes armored vehicles for protection and sends them around the world. Now, this morning, Toronto police could be seen scouring through shattered glass looking for evidence after front door windows were hit. We could see at least 10 evidence markers, and so far it appears quite a number of shots were fired. Toronto police say no one was physically injured, but the company says it does have security personnel here on site 24/7. Activists have accused INKAS of supplying Israel with materials in the past. Today, the company says it doesn't confirm which countries exactly it sends supplies.
The workers, I mean, I'm very proud of the workers here. When I came in this morning, they were all working. They were all at their station as they normally are. They're extraordinarily talented, but they're committed people, and they're Canadians like the rest of us. They're Torontonians who are just here trying to earn a living to take care of their family. And it's the same for the rest of the company. You know, we're shocked, we're saddened People are frightened, but I think the Toronto Police have done a great deal to mitigate that fear.
So far, it's not clear if there's any connection between the shootings at the U.S. consulate or Jewish-owned bakeries and now this one here at INKAS. So far, there is no suspect description, and police are asking anyone with information to come forward. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan and Andrea, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Fire crews are expected to be at an Etobicoke waste transfer station for the rest of the day following a 4-alarm blaze.
No injuries have been reported in connection with the fire, which broke out early this morning. CP24's Courtney Heels has been following the firefighting effort and joins us now with more. Courtney.
Good afternoon, Andrea. That's right. Firefighters now on 24-hour watch here. They're basically watching for hot spots, and eventually they'll shift into the investigation, trying to get a sense of what sparked this early morning fire and why. You mentioned it was a 4-alarm fire. A number of resources were involved in this one. We heard as many as 100 firefighters were on scene, dozens of fire trucks, and they acknowledge it was a bit of a stubborn fire, one that started just after 3 in the morning. They say that the material that was burning was a mix of construction, material, debris, also some insulation. Here's more from the fire commander who updated this scene earlier this morning.
We started an offensive and just transitioned to a defensive attack. We had about a 20 by 20 section directly over the fire collapse. We also cut additional holes in the roof to access the fire. And we were able to apply additional water through that method. The fire is now under control, and we are awaiting additional overhaul opportunities.
So you heard there, the fire now considered under control. Again, it's still in a fire watch, meaning that they're just monitoring for any possible hot spots here. In terms of what will be next, there is going to be this investigation. There's also the question why a fire broke out here yet again. This is the second time there has been a fire at this waste management facility in just a matter of months. Back in October, a very similar situation, early morning fire, debris inside the facility caught fire. We asked fire crews about that, if there could be a connection, if there's something that happened last time that maybe led to this fire. At this point, they don't know. They say it is still just too early. And again, the focus now will be on getting those answers. Over to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Courtney. Still to come, wildfires are continuing to burn across the province. We'll have the latest on the situation in Ontario and across the country a little later in the newscast.
Mayor Olivia Chow and Deputy Mayor Ozma Malik have filed an emergency motion calling on the province to return waterfront land to the city. It comes in the wake of Ottawa blocking the Ford government's plan to expand the island airport. The federal government announced it was grounding the plan following local opposition, with people citing concerns about increased traffic, noise, and air pollution. The city is now calling for the return of the Toronto Islands and Little Norway Park.
Despite Ottawa's decision, Ontario Transportation Minister Parmeet Sarkaria has said the government looks forward to continuing to work to advance the expansion of the airport.
And Mayor Olivia Chow joins us live to discuss the situation surrounding the island airport. It sounds like you should be happy about this. You put forward a motion calling on the province to also return land to the city. Why is that important to you?
Well, we're very thankful that the federal government heard the voices of the people of Toronto, and it was very clear, with one voice saying that we love our waterfront. If you expand the airport, it will wreck it. And as you said, the air quality, the noise and congestion, all of that will just make life not very comfortable. So now that the airport is not expanding, then the provincial government really have no need for a local park. So there's playground, there's softball leagues in there, it's a local park. The province really shouldn't keep it. And we have the Hannah's Point Beach, there's several beaches on the Toronto Island. We're about to spend a bit of money because it's been eroding. We want to make sure that we stop the erosion and do some planting in there. So we need some certainty. It's going to still be our land, the City of Toronto land. And thousands and thousands of people go over to the Toronto Islands, and it's a local jewel. So we're hoping the provincial government will return the land back to the city's hands because they took it a few months ago.
Okay, Mayor Chow, at a news conference today, Ontario's Transportation Minister says there's no plan to repeal Bill 110. What's your response? Because, as you said, you want the land back, that you don't want them to have jets at the airport, but the government doesn't seem to be hearing that message. They say it's not a dead issue at this point.
Well, my interpretation, our conversation with the federal government and the federal member of parliament, Liberal member of parliament in the city of Toronto have said that no airport expansion. If the answer is a no, why do you want a local park and local beaches? Like it's always belonged to the city of Toronto. What do you want from this park? It is at the foot of Bathurst, and if you destroy the park, what is the local residents going to do? Where are the kids going to play? Where's the softball league? What are they going to do? So where are people going to go to the beach over at Halton's Point or Warts Island? They're beautiful beaches, and yeah, there's no reason to keep it. So the federal government has been very clear, and ultimately it's the federal government's responsibility. The Toronto Port Authority belongs to the federal government. They appoint people on the Toronto Port Authority. The tripartite agreement that we had really belongs to the federal government, so it's really, they're the boss. They're the ones that call the shot.
Mayor, the Ford government has always said that if you expand the island airport, it can bring in billions of dollars each year into the economy. How do you respond to that?
I can't see how that would work. I would love to see a business plan, a business case. What I do know right now is that there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that go over to the Toronto Island. Lots of people go to Harbourfront Centre, to the concert, but Wiseman Stage, and the new park, Bedesege Park, is beautiful, and tons of people. It's very popular. And then there are a lot of home builders that are building lots of housing by the waterfront. You can't have a new home where you cannot open the window, because that's what it's supposed to be. You can't open the window because the air quality is going to be terrible. So who would want to build housing, and who would want to buy or rent any housing where you can't open the windows? That's absurd. So it's not compatible. The airport as it is all right, it's fine, but when you expand it to 10 million people coming in, whoa. It's going to be congested. It's just negative impact. So I can't see how it will generate money for the federal or the provincial government.
Okay, Mayor Olivia Chow, thanks for joining us to discuss this topic. I'm sure the conversation will continue.
Thank you.
A new supportive housing complex for Indigenous men has opened in Leslieville. The Nahamaras building at 230 Coxwell Avenue includes 20 affordable rental units. The nonprofit organization says the new building reflects their mission to foster healthy lives with a strong commitment to Indigenous traditions. Nahamaras says the location was chosen due to its proximity to transit and other services.
We've learned at Nahamaras that the best way to end homelessness is simply with housing. And then once you get the housing, you wrap around the supports for the people that come through the doors that might need it. If barriers get in their way, they get hiccups along the way. So we're very proud with this site. We've had overwhelming support, not only from our city councillor, but also from our neighbors who've really made us feel welcome. So I want to say miigwech to our neighbors for the great support.
Ribbon cuttings mark the end of a great deal of work, but they also mark a beginning. For the 20 Indigenous men who will live here today, this represents a new beginning of having safe, stable, and affordable place to call home. That is what this is really about. It's not about the organizations represented here. It's not about who receives the credit for the funding. It's about the men and the difference that this project will make in their life.
This is the 5th Nahamaras affordable housing project in Toronto.
Patrick Brown is officially seeking re-election as mayor of Brampton. He filed his registration papers today to enter the city's mayoral race. Brown was first elected Brampton mayor in 2018 and again in 2022.
I have to say, 8 years ago when I began as mayor, I felt there was real challenges, whether it's not having approvals for a new hospital, a lack of policing infrastructure, a lack of transit infrastructure, a lack of recreation infrastructure. And you look at where we are today, you know, the trains are full speed ahead for the big Brampton build, the big Brampton projects.
Voters in Brampton will head to the polls on October 26th.
The CNE is set to host its annual job fair this week, and this year they're branching out to include other community organizations. The event will be held at the Anarcare Center on Wednesday. The CNE and its vendors will be looking to fill roughly 720 positions that are still available. They include cashiers, game attendants, and informational guides. Now, officials say they have already received more than 49,000 applications online. This year, representatives from Metrolinx, the ROM, the YMCA, and the Toronto Port Authority will also be on hand to recruit for positions outside of the CNE.
Young people can come, see what careers are available, get advice on how to brush up their resume, take a picture. So it's not just jobs, it's also job advice, and really one of the biggest job fairs that is in the city. And it's part of the responsibility we think we have as a not-for-profit, as one of the leading employers of youth in the GTA, to not just connect youth to jobs, but also the resources, because as you mentioned, nearly 50,000 people, there's more people than there are jobs we can provide.
The X is set to begin on August 21st.
A Toronto hip-hop artist is set to run the entire length of Yonge Street this week in support of a good cause. On Thursday, Dylan King, also known as Dylan Ponders, is running the entire length of Yonge Street, which covers nearly 90 kilometers, to raise money and awareness about homelessness in Canada. He says the issue is personal, as he experienced homelessness himself.
People tend to view homelessness as something that just is, not really looking at what can I donate, how can I help. Maybe I should start looking at these people like human beings rather than just a part of the sidewalk. Yeah. And mental health issues were why I fell into homelessness. I was experiencing addiction and all types of darkness when I was experiencing homelessness, and I was also suicidal in that chapter of my life. So my empathy runs really deep, and no matter how successful I become, I'm going to shed light on things that matter to me.
King is encouraging supporters to make a donation online at the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness website.
More news in a moment. First, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. Lindsay Morrison joins us now to look at the current conditions. And Lindsay, you and I were talking before the show. I slept right through whatever rain or we had last night. I guess I was really tired.
You know, for some, Andrea, Mother Nature's thunderstorms can be like a natural sound machine. So you may not have been the only one. And yes, there was a bit of wet weather overnight. Right now, it is dry across southern Ontario and around the GTA. We do have some cloudiness in places, but the majority of the wet weather right now is in New York State and eastern sections of our province. In fact, that's where we find a special weather statement warning of 50 to 100 millimeters of rain over the next couple of days here. 50 millimeters of rain possible in portions of Quebec. But the threat of active weather is a little less for us today here in the city of Toronto. It is humid out there. 25 degrees feels like 31 right now. Winds are out of the northwest and they will strengthen a little later today. But overall, it's looking not bad. I think most areas are going to remain dry today, but we're going to call it about a 30% chance of a passing shower or a pop-up thunderstorm. We'll take you through the forecast for the rest of the week coming up. For now, though, Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Wildfires are burning across the country with dry and windy conditions hampering firefighting efforts in British Columbia.
It has grown significantly over the course of the last number of days, and while there was some precipitation over the last day, continue to be concerned with the direction that that fire is heading.
Two fires near the village of Clinton merged over the weekend, with the flames now covering an area of roughly 630 square kilometers. Nearly 600 properties have been evacuated as a result of the fire.
More than 150 wildfires are burning across Ontario, including the largest fire in the province's history. The massive fire has been dubbed Thunder Bay 36. It covers an area of more than 3,000 square kilometers. Recent rainfall has helped slow the fire, but officials say it remains out of control. At least 22 other fires are also considered out of control. Additional crews from Alberta have arrived to help with the firefighting effort.
Tech giant Meta has reportedly presented a plan to Ottawa which does not include paying for news content on its platforms.
CTV's Abigail Beeman has the latest on the ongoing dispute.
Sharing of news without proper compensation is not fair.
Mark Miller said he won't share details on talks with Meta about getting Canadian news back on its platforms. But after Politico reported Ottawa is sitting on a Meta proposal that doesn't involve paying for content, and the government hasn't responded because the issue is part of Canada's bargaining position in larger U.S. trade negotiations, the minister said this.
They're probably not as advanced as being suggested, and the reality is we're not willing to do it for free.
Meta has blocked news on Instagram and Facebook since 2023, when the Online News Act called for tech giants to pay Canadian producers. It did not respond to multiple requests for comment about what's on the table, with advocacy group Open Media worried about the potential use of AI for news content.
I think we should get news links back on Meta platforms, but I don't think either publishers or the government should agree to AI summaries of that content without a compensation mechanism.
Last year, Ottawa dropped the digital services tax because it angered Donald Trump. Miller was asked if there were any plans to repeal this Online News Act, also a known trade irritant.
No plans.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc heads back to Washington this week for meetings alongside Canada's chief trade negotiator. It will be his first trip since Trump said he would impose a fresh round of punishing tariffs. LeBlanc's office not saying who he'll be meeting with nor when.
That was CTV's Abigail Beeman. Right now, CTV's Michael Sfrappio joins us with more on LeBlanc's trip to Washington. Michael, what more can you tell us about this trip?
Well, certainly, Andrea, there comes a great urgency with this trip. And we heard that a bit from the Prime Minister last week, who promised that negotiations would be intensified after Donald Trump, as we heard from Abigail there last Monday, introduced those Section 338 tariffs, promising a 50% tariff on billions of dollars of Canadian goods being sent to the United States. He says they would be imposed by the middle of next month if Canada did not address three things in particular: the booze ban that has kept American liquor off of Canadian shelves, dairy and marketing boards in this country, Donald Trump wanting more access for Americans, as well as counter tariffs on auto vehicles that are non-CUSMA compliant. So those are the things that Donald Trump wants to have. Add to that, on Friday, he added the forced labor tariffs against Canada, and still threatening to add a third layer of tariffs when it comes to the wildfire smoke that's wafting into the United States. And as if that was not a difficult enough challenge for Dominic LeBlanc, take a listen to what Donald Trump had to share today on Fox and Friends on their morning show today regarding his desire or lack of desire to renew CUSMA. Take a listen.
I don't really want to. I'd rather be independent. Here's the thing: Mexico and Canada need us. We don't need them. The deal is important for them. It's not important for us.
And I will say that it is important for the American economy. We hear that time and again from many Democrats in particular who rely on Canadian trade, but American industry as well, bearing in mind that the United States is very dependent on Canadian oil and gas, dependent on Canadian potash, if not other things as well. So a bit of a fact check on that. But regardless, still, this is the challenge that Dominic LeBlanc faces as he heads to the U.S. Capitol during this week, Andrea.
Okay, is there any sign that this meeting could involve meetings with U.S. officials? I mean, he's going all that distance. This is a continuing debate. We heard what the president says, and we know the facts as they are.
Yeah, well, and you know, we heard what the president said, and quite frankly, the trade talks stand on very shifting grounds based on Donald Trump's moods and what he declares in social media. But we know that there will be meetings with some U.S. delegates. We don't know how high up that goes. What we can tell you is that Jamieson Greer is the United States chief trade negotiator, and Dominic LeBlanc has been in regular contact with him since the beginning of the year. That's been on and off. At one point, Donald Trump suspended those talks, but they're now back on. There have been some key face-to-face meetings. So we're at this point keeping a close eye as to whether or not Jameson Greer will be a meeting with Dominic LeBlanc. And as we heard from Abigail, Janice Charette, who is Canada's chief trade negotiator, will also be there. So 2 key Canadian negotiators headed to the U.S. Capitol. We do expect some high-level meetings. What they result in, we don't know, but we certainly are watching very closely, Andrea.
Okay, CTV's Michael Serapio. Thanks for joining us, Michael.
You're welcome.
The Big Apple is making a major effort to attract more Canadian tourists before the end of the summer. New York City Tourism has come out with a Northern Neighbor deal, which includes 30% off at more than 85 hotels, Broadway shows, attractions, restaurants, and museums. The deal runs from August 18th through September 7th. They say the discount will help offset the current exchange rate. Meanwhile, Porter Airlines is also offering 20% off some flights to New York City. Canada is New York's second largest international market, with 820,000 visitors expected this year.
A 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit the region of southern Japan today, injuring some people and leaving others trapped. Authorities are still assessing the full extent of the damage. Around 20 to 30 workers at a shopping mall are unaccounted for after an explosion following the quake. Multiple people are also reportedly missing after a chimney collapse at a paper industries factory. 2 hospitals each said they are treating more than 50 people following the quake. Around 300,000 people have been told to go to evacuation centers, and hundreds of soldiers have been deployed to help with rescue operations as aftershocks continued. Power outages are affecting thousands of people.
In the Middle East, Oman has presented Tehran with a plan backed by Gulf states to manage the Strait of Hormuz. The proposal includes collecting voluntary fees for using the crucial energy corridor. Iran effectively shut down the Strait of Hormuz to ships other than its own after the U.S. and Israel attacked in February. A deal last month partially reopened it, but the agreement collapsed in July after Iran fired on ships using a channel that it did not approve. Tehran has yet to respond to the Omani plan.
In Washington, the U.S. President Donald Trump held separate meetings with the leaders of Israel and Ukraine today. These are images of Volodymyr Zelensky arriving at the White House. The Ukrainian president later said he had a good meeting with his American counterpart. The 2 men discussed reinvigorating peace talks in the war with Russia and licensing for Kyiv to produce U.S. missile interceptors. Israel's prime minister is also at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It is Benjamin Netanyahu's first meeting with Trump since their 2 countries launched the war against Iran. The U.S. president voiced irritation with him before today's meeting, saying details of Netanyahu's planned talking points on Iran had surfaced publicly.
All 3 leaders will attend the funeral of Senator Lindsey Graham later this afternoon. Family and colleagues gathered in the Capitol Rotunda this morning to honor the South Carolina Republican colleagues remembered Graham as gregarious, funny, and persuasive. Donald Trump is scheduled to speak at today's service at the Washington National Cathedral. A funeral will also be held tomorrow in Graham's home state, where he'll be laid to rest. Graham passed away July 11th at the age of 71.
Well, yesterday it was looking a little more likely that we could see some thunderstorms bubbling up this afternoon. That risk has lessened somewhat. Here's a look at our forecast radar for the rest of the afternoon. And really the next couple of days here, we are going to be mostly dry and enjoying some sunshine. Your next 3 days look like this. It's back to full sunshine for Thursday and Friday with seasonal highs nearing 30 degrees. And then, of course, that's to wrap up the month of July. We welcome August on Saturday. Not only is it the long weekend, but the Toronto Caribbean Carnival will be happening. Right now, it looks like a variable cloudiness kind of day with a daytime high of 27, feeling like 33. Stay with us. We'll take a full look at your 7-day forecast after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, let's talk about the forecast. It is warm outside. I do appreciate that, but not the bright, sunny skies that I'd be hoping for.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrea?
Okay, so during the break, we're chatting. I'm still on that conversation. But anyway, back to the task at hand. Yes, so I'm just thinking when I'm walking the dog, thinking, is it a bit of smoke, or is it pollution, or why the bit of the haze?
So it's interesting. We've had some low cloud the last couple of days. We've had some air pollution. The levels have been elevated as well. And yeah, so it's not the brightest blue sky out there today, unfortunately. We are now starting to see a bit more in the way of cloud cover developing, but no showers at the moment. In fact, many parts of the GTA will actually stay dry this afternoon and early evening. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. Yesterday, we had severe thunderstorms in places, but it was nothing quite like what happened stateside. This is some footage from Wisconsin, where it has since been confirmed that an EF2 tornado touched down. So torrential amounts of rain and widespread damage. Look at some of these scenes coming out of the area. There are still thousands of people without electricity in the state of Wisconsin. And also there was some damage in parts of Illinois, also as those storms continued to track eastward. And now, as we take a look at the current satellite and radar, we find the majority of the active weather across the upper part of New York State. And we've got some heavy rain impacting portions of Quebec. Also, sections of eastern Ontario from about Brockville over toward the city of Ottawa. It's going to be a soggy day today and perhaps into the day tomorrow as well. And that is why Environment Canada has a special weather statement in place, warning of up to 100 millimeters of rain. So that's what happens when the same areas just keep getting hit over and over again as that low circulates. For us, there you can see right downtown Toronto, a bit more cloud cover has developed. If you're joining us from areas outside of the downtown or lakeside communities, you might be seeing a little more in the way of sunshine, maybe a bit of a bluer sky. There's some cloud cover across parts of cottage country and southwestern Ontario at this hour too. But on the forecast radar, it's looking pretty dry at this point. I still want to mention that we are holding on to the threat of showers and storms for today, but it's not looking like a sure thing. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, much drier by comparison, and we should be able to enjoy more in the way of sunshine those days too. Winds out of the north already. They're expected to strengthen into the night tonight, and even by this time tomorrow, we still could be dealing with gusts to near 50 kilometers per hour. All right, temperatures and humidex values. It feels like 34 right now in Windsor. It's a little muggy in Toronto, too. It's feeling like 31. And at the height of the day, we expect that it will be feeling more like 33 out there. 27 degrees is our expected high, which is seasonal. That's a normal temperature this time of year. Evening sports forecast, all should be a go, especially if we can avoid that active weather in the form of showers or storms. Overnight tonight, still quite unsettled in eastern Ontario, but partly cloudy skies, I should say, overnight tonight for us. 18 degrees for the low, and then tomorrow's high, slightly cooler with those strong northerly winds. 26 degrees is going to feel a little more like 30. Here is your 7-day forecast. So nice sunshine heating up into the day on Friday, and it is going to be hot and humid for the start of this weekend. Of course, the Grand Parade is going to be happening on Saturday for the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. 27 degrees will feel more like 33. Expecting a bit of cloud to mix in, and then Sunday, possibility of some wet weather. But Monday, we're back into a mix of sun and cloud. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Blue Jays hope to keep the momentum going when they continue their series with the Washington Nationals.
That the lefty Andrew Alvarez would be in there, but instead it's Luis Urias driving it to deep center, and it's gone.
A homer in the third inning tied the game at 1, and the Jays were able to score 2 more times, going on to win the game 3-2. Max Scherzer, who won a World Series with the Nationals in 2019, got the start on his 42nd birthday. Shane Bieber set to start for Toronto tonight with first pitch set for 6:45 in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, tonight's game will feature a special Canada-U.S. Friendship Day giveaway. Fans will receive a special Nationals cap with a Maple Leaf logo. The Nationals were previously the Montreal Expos, with the team relocating at the end of the 2004 season.
The Temple will be looking to snap a 3-game losing streak as they return from the WNBA's All-Star break tonight.
Trying to get some quick rotations. Harrison, fade away.
The team is coming off a 109-83 loss to Las Vegas in their last game on July 20th. The Tempo are in Minnesota tonight to take on the Lynx. Tip-off is set for 8 p.m.
You're watching CTV News at noon. This is a live look at the city from Hotel X. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now, despite the cost of many groceries staying steady or even dropping this month, the price of protein is on the rise. New data released by the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University found that prices in the meat and fish category increased by 6.5%, adding nearly $6 to the average grocery bill. The biggest jump was in the price of bacon, which increased by nearly 29%, followed by Atlantic salmon at 26%. However, the price of chicken breast was down by nearly 27%. Doctors say they're seeing a spike in eating disorders among young people.
They say the problem becomes even more common during the summer. CTV's Make That Sweeter Rassi has the details.
Summer is the season many look forward to, but for some, it's the hardest time of the year. Dialogue, a Montreal-based virtual healthcare provider, is seeing a 57% jump in consultations for eating disorders.
It's a problem that is seen most often in the summer.
Dr. Mark Robbins says changes in routine, a lack of school support, and the pressure of having a beach body explain the rise.
This is cyclical. It is a seasonal variation that we observe.
The numbers are even worse for young people. Consultations are up 73% for people aged 17 to 25. Lise André-Massé at Anorexia and Bulimia Quebec says nearly 300,000 people in the province live with an eating disorder.
We know that the first sign can start at 4 years old.
She says eating disorders can affect anyone. Men, she says, are often more pressured to look muscular, whereas women feel the need to look thin, especially on social media. Last summer, the hashtag Skinny Talk was banned on TikTok because it encouraged eating disorder behaviors.
We reach out to TikTok and say that it's something that should be banned.
Now, if you type Skinny Talk, what comes up are helplines, including one from Anorexia and Bulimia Quebec. But the problem doesn't just go away.
But they reinvent themselves. So the fact that this is there, it's concerning.
Eating disorders are complex and in some cases deadly. And with summer in full swing, experts say reaching out for help is crucial. Sweeter Rassi, CTV News.
Still to come, Odyssey star Matt Damon is praising his stunt double, a Canadian woman. We'll have those details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Odyssey has been dominating the box office recently, and star Matt Damon has been praising the work of his stunt double.
He's a woman from Vancouver who stands less than 5 feet tall. For more on this, we're joined live by Sam East, host with 99.9 Virgin Radio, for our segment Chronically Online. Sam, you don't normally hear of a woman playing or being a stunt double for a man. It's so cool. How common is this?
Not as common as maybe it should be, and especially in this particular case. We know that The Odyssey is a massive blockbuster film for 2026, but we're not focusing as much on this incredible story about a woman from Vancouver who, in a very action-packed scene, plays Matt Damon's stunt woman. Now, she's a very well-versed stunt woman. She stands at just 4 feet 6 inches tall, and it's been told that Christopher Nolan didn't really want to rely too much on CGI, and so he hired both 7-foot actors and this 4 foot 6 inch stunt woman to portray just that huge size difference. And Matt Damon has gone on record to say this woman is incredible. Her name's Devin Dalton from Vancouver, 35 years old, and she has, quote, the best arms he's ever seen.
It is pretty wild because, and the thing though also is that this year at the Academy Awards, we still don't have a stunt double Academy Award. It's going to be next year. So all these incredible stunts this woman will not qualify for, or the team of stunt people won't qualify for. But I'm sure in the future, she's done work for so many years, maybe eventually she will. Okay, next topic. A raccoon called Jimothy recently went viral, which has prompted Toronto Public Health to issue a warning about people not getting too friendly with the animals. What is this?
Oh, Andrea and Nathan, this is the most ridiculous, but also the best showing of the internet. There is this raccoon from Seattle that's gone absolutely viral. Look at this little guy. He has a rare condition called short spine syndrome, which causes him to have this stature, and he has won over hearts all over the internet, and now his official nickname is Jimothy. Now, because we're so endeared to him, this has actually reached our Toronto Public Health Unit, and they've put out an official statement essentially warning us from getting too close. Whether they're going viral in Seattle or roaming the streets of Toronto, raccoons are wild animals and can carry rabies, give wildlife space, and admire from afar even the internet stars. I mean, listen, maybe it sounds ridiculous, but I think it's a worthy reminder, because you see someone like Jimothy that's going rampant all over the internet, and you think, okay, you know, what's the big deal? I can approach my local friendly Toronto raccoon. Probably wise not to.
Yeah. I've never said that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in Toronto says they're getting close to raccoon. They're like, get away from the raccoon.
I would consider Jimothy cute, but I guess everybody's cute in some way.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are really endeared to Jimothy, saying that this is like a heritage moment now at this point. That's how far it's gone.
Yikes.
All right. Well, remember, you can listen to Sam weekdays from 2 to 5 on 99.9 Virgin Radio. Sam East, always a pleasure. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
Well, coming up, packing as much flavor as possible into a potato chip. We'll have more on a Montreal restaurant that is sharing the taste of one of its signature dishes.
Tim Horton says it'll be launching a Harry Potter-themed menu next month. Canadian customers will get a chance to order items inspired by the film franchise. The coffee chain says it's launching the new menu as well as limited edition merchandise and packaging to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the first Harry Potter movie. The new menu will include the Gryffindor strawberry cheesecake donut and the Slytherin chocolate pistachio donut.
The taste of one of Montreal's best-known restaurants is now contained in a potato chip.
CTV's Olivia O'Malley has more on a partnership between the restaurant and a potato chip maker.
This is a good one. I like those.
The chip has Miss Vicky's signature crunch and tastes like a staple Nora Gray dish, something owner Ryan Gray never thought would be possible.
To do a Nora Gray, you know, like flavor of Miss Vicky's chips, I mean, like, it was like we had to pinch ourselves.
About a year ago, Miss Vicky's approached the 40-seat foodie destination to be part of its Ristoranti series. 3 new chip flavors created by Italian restaurants across Canada. Nora Gray in Montreal, Pizzeria Battiali in Toronto, and Ask for Luigi in Vancouver.
It was an amazing process, actually. Like really way more in-depth and you know, scientific than you'd expect.
The 15-year-old restaurant's menu changes with each season, but they ended up going with the flavor from a plate they've served since the start. Homemade spicy pepperoncini with freshly baked focaccia.
You know, our focaccia that we do here is like a sourdough focaccia as well, so there's like a tanginess to it, and then you get the heat from the peppers.
Recipe developers and tasters worked with the restaurant to recreate pepperoncini and focaccia in chip form. Gray, a salt and vinegar lover himself, says he had no idea what to expect, but was blown away by the final product, and so were consumers.
There was just like really and truly like a tsunami of attention.
When the flavor was first released last year, Canadians gobbled it up.
They were selling out all over town and all over, like, in other cities also. Like, we were getting messages, people kept trying to get the chips from, like, come here to get the chips.
The chips are back on shelves for a limited time. But if you want the real deal, Nora Gray is open Tuesday to Saturday.
Go great with a glass of orange wine.
Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
Okay, before we do our chip talk, we want to say congratulations to Lindsay. It's been 20 years since you were first an intern at the Weather Network. And look how far she's come, folks. I know she was 5 when she started 20 years ago, but congratulations, Lindsay, for the longevity of your career.
Thank you very much. And I will add that this weekend, the August long weekend, is 7 years since I started working with you here at CTV Toronto.
Come back to weekend.
All these
I know you're not coming back.
Okay, favorite chip flavor, because I like that story.
I think sour cream and onion. And there's one brand that it's called like loads of flavor. So there's just so much of that flavor on it. And so I think that's my favorite.
It's funny. I like pretty much every type of chip. But I would say sour cream and bacon.
Interesting choices.
So close to yours, a little bit.
I'm British,
little
so
different.
that's why sour cream and onion.
How about yourself?
I'm going to pick the really Canadian ones, ketchup chips and all dressed.
Both good.
Yes.
But I'm with you. I like them all.
I could use some right now.
Yeah, me too. It's lunchtime.
Our lunchtime is coming up. Let's see what's going on with the weather.
Weather-wise, as you can see, it's fairly cloudy right now. Downtown Toronto, you might find a little more sunshine the further away from Lake Ontario you go today. Here's one more look at our satellite and radar. We're not seeing any thunderstorm activity right now in southern Ontario, so perhaps that's a good thing. When it comes to your outdoor plans, you can take your lunch outside this afternoon. Overnight tonight, 18 for the low. That's near normal. It's also slightly on the warmer side, partly cloudy skies. We are going to have a northwest wind tonight and into the day tomorrow. That's going to make our temperature slightly cooler than today. Not quite as humid as today either into tomorrow, but still feeling like 30. And still quite unsettled for eastern sections of Ontario. The 7-day forecast looks like this. Lots of sunshine for Thursday and Friday. Cloud is going to re-increase as we make our way into the long weekend with that possibility of some wet weather into the day on Sunday. Nathan and Andrea.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison, the 20-year veteran, and all of us here at CTV News, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Andrea Case.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.